everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Burke.
And this is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Does anybody know that song?
God, no. I know what you're talking about, but I don't actually know it
It's
myself.
from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. It was a real
I never
TV
watched
show.
it.
Yeah. It was a show hosted by Mario and Luigi, aka two guys that looked vaguely Italian that were dressed like Mario and Luigi, and they would like introduce the cartoon. Like they would do like a live animated or live action bit, and then they'd be like, they go, "This reminds you of the time we got caught in the Koopa Kingdom," and then they'd cut away to the actual like.
Wait. So they Family Guy'd it way back then?
Honestly,
You think
pretty
that's
much.
bad?
You think that's bad? And then it would cut to the cartoon, and it was the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
No, I never ended up watching it. I never saw the Mario movie either. That horribly horrendous.
Never saw that?
Always talked about as the weirdest thing in the
It's like a
world.
rite of passage for gamers, man.
Yeah, never saw that. Never saw that. Is the rite of passage also eating coins out of a cake?
It is if you're a diehard. I mean, sure, anybody can eat a cake. It takes a real man to eat one with a fear of busting a tooth and eating copper.
Hashtag call back to Brian's birthday party where he had copper pennies in his cake.
Yeah.
Yay!
So I had a little bit of fun. What we're going to end up talking about here today is we're going to talk about the new news with the Switch. And it was some odd time ago. It'll be plenty of time ago for everybody that they did the actual premiere and let you know like when the thing was going to be pre-ordered and all that stuff.
Right?
No, well, they did that, but they did the January
I'm sorry, that's what
13th
you're
or
talking
something like
about.
that.
Okay, I thought
that thing saying like, hey, it's going to be able like this is what's coming out with it. Here's some games. This is what's going on. So I'll start us off with the story that I had for that. So basically, in that conference, they end up saying like, hey, March 3rd, that's when all of this stuff's coming out, and I get an email like I'm not joking, 10 minutes later saying. From GameStop going, hey, it's up for pre-order. Come in tomorrow morning. I'm going, crap. All right, let's see. So I get up that morning and I'm checking around online to see if I can pre-order online somewhere because it's not as big of a deal to me that it gets shipped or like if I don't get to play it that morning because more than likely I might not be able to anyway because I'm working. So I was like, not a big deal. If it doesn't get delivered till 2 or 3, and then I can hook it up, download all the updates that there's probably going to be because it's a new console nowadays, and then I'll be good to go like later on when I actually want to play it, and I'll be able to like just jam through it on the weekend, playing on the Switch. And then nowhere has any of the online pre-ordering. Like I couldn't get it through Amazon at the time. I was like.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm just going to end up going to the old GameStop here. And
Craig going to a place physically?
Yeah. Well, granted, I do have to pick up a physical hardware and it's a GameStop, but I knew I had like those like GameStop points or whatever because you're a Power Up Rewards Pro member.
Ones. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, I'll go through that way. So I end up showing up about a half hour early-ish, or not a half hour early-ish, about an hour early-ish. And I'm sitting there in the parking lot and I can see there's like 4 or 5 other cars with similarly aged people where I go, they're here for the Switch. We're all sitting there. It's 9 a.m. GameStop doesn't open till 10. We're all just kind of sitting in the parking lot in different areas of it, kind of like looking at each other like, am I going to have to sprint and beat this person or what's going on?
I picture the Wild West, a tumbleweed rolls by. And like it's a really like close-up shot, but they're doing the letterboxing. So like the tops of it is cut off as you squint.
Basically. So we all sit there and then finally one kid shows up and he parks. It's 9:15. And so it's 45 minutes till open. He parks and he immediately gets out and starts walking to the GameStop. I'm like, that noob, he doesn't know they don't open till 10. He's going to get up there and it's going to be locked and they're just going to give him the old flip off and he'll have to go sit by his car like the rest of us. He goes up there, jingles on the door. You can tell he's talking with somebody in there and he's like, oh, okay. The realization that he can't go in yet sets in as well. And I'm like, now he's going to go back to his car. And then there's a couple pieces of paper on the door, which I assumed were Switch related. And he like looks over him and stuff like that. And then he just goes over and leans against the glass in the little, the storefront. It's like, No, it's 45 minutes. We don't have to start lining up yet. There's not enough people here to start lining up yet. And then I look over and I see the horde, the horde of people getting out of their car. I was like, no, I wanted to sit in my car. I grabbed right across the, right in the same parking lot is a, or not in the same parking lot, but right nearby is a Chick-fil-A. So I had like a Chick-fil-A breakfast. I was sitting there, I was like, oh, I'll just sit here and calmly eat some of my Chick-fil-A breakfast. I'm listening to a baseball podcast. I was like, I'll just listen to this. No big deal. I didn't bring anything with me to entertain me for 45 minutes standing outside of a door. I was like, I can handle for about 10, 15 minutes, and that's all I'll need.
Craig's sitting here. Oh God, I have to interact with people. No.
He had to leave his house and interact with people and stand in a line. That's like pretty much Craig's version of what hell is. I'm pretty sure.
Threat of death, right? Yeah. Like, it's terrible. So, like, shit. Well, I'm gonna have to get out. So we go and we get out, or I go and get out, and I go up there, and I'm like the seventh person in line now. And it's about, I don't know, 40 minutes before the store opens. We're sitting there, and it's just that awkward silence where nobody really wants to talk to each other, really. And there's, a couple more people trickling in. The line's up to like 15 or 20 people long now. And there's like a little bit of talking here or there. And the GameStop guys will come out and they've got sheets of like what all the combos you can buy. Like, oh, here's the games, or here's all the accessories that's coming out. And here's this. And they've got the thing. There's 34 Switch systems. And then they've got 8 of the ones with the multicolored Joy-Cons, And
yeah. So I've seen those on the on the trailer and all that.
Yep, they have those. There's the standard game, or the standard Switch was, same price but gray everything, or gray or black or whatever it is. I think it's a gray. And then they've got the one with the red Joy-Con and a blue Joy-Con for your controllers. Like one's red, one's blue. And it's the same price because it's the same exact thing except for a different color on some of the objects. I was like, I don't really care about that one. I'm gonna go with the old gray, because I'm not sure if my OCD, I guess I really don't have OCD, but it would just bother me having one random blue and one random red and not like 2 blues or 2 reds. I was like, I'm just gonna go with the old gray, because probably gonna get a Pro controller as soon as that comes up to I'm probably gonna pre-order Pro controller as well. And then we just sit there, and then there's a kid that comes up, and he's playing Pokemon. He's about,
nice,
I would say he's like 24, 25ish or something like that. But
so cool.
Yeah, you could definitely tell he probably mentally was a different age, just by the way, because he came up and started talking immediately, and you could tell everybody was like, okay, there's probably some kind of mental disorder or something along those lines in there. But damn it, if that dude didn't break the ice for everybody to sit around and talk for the next 30 minutes. That guy came up and he starts talking. He's like, I'm so excited. And just talking. He's talking to everybody, talking about everything, talking about his new Pokemon he just caught and all this other stuff. So
what was it?
I honestly don't. It was,
no. This is the hard hitting journalism I need, Craig.
It was something. It was like he's playing Sun and Moon, and it was just a standard. It was one of the newer Pokemon, but it wasn't like a legendary. Because by the way,
do you want me to start going on the line? Was it Mudsdale?
Sure, we'll go with that one. But you could tell it was just like a standard by the reaction of everybody else. They're like, oh yeah, it sounded like the same thing as like, you got that Pidgeot, or the Pidgey. Good job, man. You got that Pidgey. That's the way it sounded, that he was, but he was excited to get it, and that was cool. But he got the whole party started because he started talking, and then we all started interacting. And there was this one guy there. He he's an older guy. I would say probably about 10-ish years older than me, so he's probably like 40-ish, somewhere around there, and he's in line. He looks around and he goes, I'm just going to let all of you know, if any of you are resellers, I'm literally going to crack your ribs right here. If I hear any of you are reselling this for a ridiculous price, I will crack your ribs.
Good man.
And this dude's like 6'6". He wasn't built like Wayne, but you could tell maybe in a former life
he was
built like Wayne. And then this is just what it's, he got a family and some other stuff going on. He's got to take the kids to soccer practice now, so he doesn't have as much time to work out, and he's deflated a bit. But he was a big dude. I was like, yeah, he could probably crack all of our ribs. And
wow,
another kid in line was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. My boss is pretty cool. He's let me be in line. And then you see the guy, I'll just call him Wayne from here on out, just so it's easier. The Wayne guy was like, yep, that boss must be pretty cool. Then he kind of acts like he's snapping suspenders on himself. And everybody looks and he goes, I'm his boss. They're like, oh, okay. It was pretty funny. But it was just really cool because it was the first time in a long time that I sat down because I was alone in that line. Every other time I've done the pre-order thing where I'm doing midnight releases or lining up at a GameStop beforehand, I'm always there with somebody. Brian, you and I have done it a couple times.
Sure.
Burke, I don't know if we've ever done it. Have we ever done a midnight together?
I want to say we have, no, but I don't remember.
I don't think we did. I think
Maybe
the only big release we had was Gears of War. Yeah, we did midnight for Gears of War.
Yeah.
Remember, we played it all throughout the night. It was at a Best Buy, but we did it there.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the sun came up.
Yeah. We look over, we're like, we have class in a couple hours. We played Gears all night.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What was the last one? Probably Brawl, right?
We did Brawl together. Yeah.
Because I was so excited that you had to drive because my hands were shaking. I was so excited to get that game.
Yeah, and I sat there and I like pulled up because I wasn't allowed in since I didn't have a pre-order. And it was one of those things where as soon as you were walking out, I like zoomed up in your car. And that was something else. Like you let me drive your car. That lets anybody else in the world know how excited you were.
My hands were shaking, Bert.
Shit.
I pull up, I'm like, jump in,
you don't understand
Brian.
how much I love Smash Brothers. Like if I had people around that would play it with me, I would literally play Smash Brothers every single day. That is not a joke. I would play, like, even if it was just for like a 5-10 minutes, like a couple matches, I would play Smash Brothers every single day. Wow. It's the best game for me.
So, but it was just a ton of fun. It was just something that hadn't happened in a very long time where there's just a bunch of us sitting around talking games. I got to make a joke because one of the kids was like, and he's talking to the older guy, the Wayne guy. And he goes, you know that they have an app now on your phone that they'll have for the Switch that you can limit the amount of time that someone plays. So you can set like a child lock on it so the kid can only play like for 2 hours and then he has to get off. Like it won't let him go any further than 2 hours. And I got to put in the zinger. I was like, please don't tell my wife about that app. I got it.
and then they'll turn to look at you and go, "Oh, he's the fun one. He's the fun one of this group."
Yeah, I got to do a couple things that made a couple people laugh, but other than that, it was just really cool. And I just didn't know the last time that anybody had an unexpected, where you went into something thinking like, oh gosh, it's not going to be terrible, but like, I don't feel like dealing with this. Don't feel like talking. The small talk's going to be stupid or whatever it is. And it ended up being kind of enjoyable. Didn't know if anybody had that recently.
As far as that's concerned, not particularly, but I will mention that the last time that I stood in line for a game, like on a launch day, and that was with Pokemon X and Y. I was actually in New York at the time, and I stood in line for that. And I don't think I told this story in here yet, have I?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't think I have. So I was standing in line for that, and this is my first Pokemon game since Pearl, and that was the game that Craig and I had gotten, and I didn't even finish Pearl. So like this is my first like time actually actively choosing to get a Pokemon game like on my own for the first time in forever. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this thing. I had to buy a 3DS and Pokemon X, right? So big purchase. I'm standing in line, and there's two guys behind me, and they're a little bit younger than I am. And I say a little bit. They were probably actually quite a bit younger, right? 5 years or so, but still. They're sitting there discussing Pokemon, and keep in mind, my background at this point had been, I've played Pokemon Blue the whole way through multiple times. That's it. Like I had no other experience basically, right? So they're sitting there and they're talking shop, and now I look back on it and go, oh, I know what they were talking about, but they're sitting there and they sound like gibberish to me. They're going, I'm more of a Pokemon breeder. I prefer to make them with the special custom moves and this and that. I'm like, what a bunch of psychos talking about Pokemon breeding. And I'm like, you just pick up a Pikachu and you battle. That's what you do. And like, I'm just sitting there listening to them. And as I said, like I have a new appreciation for what they were discussing now, all these years later, now that I kind of got back into the series, or got way back into the series. But, yeah, that was the last time I think I waited in line for any sort of release.
What about like the lines that you sit in for Star Wars and whatnot, Burke? Was there ever any like discussions or people talking or some like funny, just where people know that everybody in line is for something specific and you're sort of a fandom in, like you are a fan of this series. So was there anything in like the Star Wars lines that kind of?
No, actually not Star Wars. Like I want to say I guess the most recent one I went to where I stood in line was probably the Deadpool movie. Because when I went with one of my good friends and his wife, because they didn't think their daughter should go, so I was the stand-in daughter.
Yeah, probably kid shouldn't go to Deadpool.
Yeah, I know. So apparently, a year later, she's watched it though. But anyways, and said it sounded like one of her friend or our friends. I guess not her friend. Anyways, so we're sitting there. Obviously, everyone knows Deadpool. It's gonna be. We're hoping it's gonna be awesome. We know it's gonna be sarcastic. We've seen some of the trailers, right? So everyone is just smiling and having fun and making jokes at each other. And so we continue on. We get into the theater, and I'm sitting here going, why is everyone so friendly? It's kind of freaking me out. Turns out everyone who's in this movie theater buys their comics at this particular comic book store or like one of a series. So everyone is like super nerd. Like they know they're super nerd because that's the only way you got tickets to it. And so everyone's just having fun. Well, yeah, I actually won a prize, and because
you son of a bitch, you win everything. How is that possible?
So they had raffles, and the people who bought my seats, my friends, they were like, "Well, we just won," and I went, "You don't want to go down there?" They go, "No." I go, I just stand up. I go, "Fuck yeah, I won, bitches!" Went down, and of course, I'm giving the prize up. It's not mine, right? So we continue on, go through, and they win again. I'm not kidding. 3 seats out of a whole they won twice. And so at that time I get up, suck it, motherfuckers. I won twice.
Wow.
You said that to the whole theater.
Everyone was dying laughing. Like, I would not have said it if if the environment was right. But everyone was like, okay, there's going to be 5,000 4-letter words in this movie, probably. So we're cool. It was a lot of fun, but
the crowd knew what they were in
again,
for.
I usually dread those situations or just being around that many people.
Yeah, and okay, so going back to the Switch and being around a bunch of people and all that stuff, I did the opposite of Craig when he saw that the trailers and whatever, and he ran out and got himself one. I did the opposite. I was like, wow, I'm not getting that, at least not until Christmas at the earliest. Like that's just not gonna be a purchase for me.
Wow.
See, and I had a completely different reaction to it purely because of one thing. And this is where we'll start going into what we think of in terms of the news that we got from that. And that was the very last thing that they brought up, and it'll be the first thing that I'm bringing up now, is they announced that, Zelda Breath of the Wild was going to be a launch title. That completely sold me, and especially now, I'm glad I've seen things since then where there's comparison videos between, because it's coming out for the Wii U as well. The game is going to be supposedly the exact same for the most part, but I looked at it and it'd be kind of like the difference between like, oh, I'm going to go through and play the remastered version of some game that's on the Xbox One, or I can play the original on the 360. Like, there's a difference in how it looks, even though it still is, it's the same game essentially. But, if I'm going to get this anyway, I might as well experience everything it has to offer from the beginning with it. You know what I mean? Like, I could hold off and go like, oh, I'll get the Wii U version of the Breath of the Wild and play it that way, and then hold off and then do, some of the other games that come out later on, whatnot. But I'm like, you know what? I've got the opportunity right now to start off this system with this game that I've been looking forward to for years now, and it's going to be it's going to look better. It's probably going to be faster. It'll probably keep frame rate a lot better, and just I'll have a hopefully better experience entirely because of that. So once they did that, I've been waiting for this game. I mean, I literally bought a Wii U just to play the Wii U Zelda, which ends up being a Switch Zelda anyway. So I was already excited enough to do that. Then I was like, yeah, I've got to get this. This is going to be something that I'm going to use.
And it's partially because of that, that I felt the opposite. And that's because, so they go, oh, we're going to have the Zelda game. I was hyped for Zelda 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was hyped for Zelda Now it's one of those things you can only get hype for so much, and then you start coming down the other side of the mountain. Now my interest in this Zelda is that, will I play it? Yeah, definitely. Do I care when I get around to it? Nope. I don't care. Like, I mean, it looks great. It looks interesting. I'm sure it's going to be a ton of fun to play, and I don't want to get spoiled on it. But at the same time, I'm in no rush. Like, if I've waited like over 2 years since they started the trailers and the teasers and the, hey, heads up, we're gonna do this. Do you even remember, Craig, when they had the it was an old trailer that they had for the Wii U Zelda before it was even anything. It was with Link fighting a giant spider. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
So that was when I was hyped. I saw that and I was like, holy shit, look at how good it looks. Look at how amazing it was. And they're like, this is just a video demo thing. And I'm like, you know what? Cool. Like, well, that's fine. That's when I was hyped. And then it has been then they started to go, it's coming. Yeah, we're making it. Yeah. All right, it's still coming. Starting to lose steam here. And now I'm just like, it's like any other game. It's like, all right, well, it'll come out and I'll get around to it, but I don't need it on day one.
And see, like, it's one of those titles. It's one of those series that for me, for the most part, I have to do it day one. Like, they could have gone through another year and a half and oh, it's still coming. And I still would have done the exact same thing a year and a half from now. Like, I would be so hyped up for it. You know, to me, I guess it'd be like the same thing where if they did that for Pokemon, like they just sat there and talked about it for 4 years. And just kept saying, like, yeah, we're getting to it. It's going to come out. And you're like, eventually they're going to announce it, right? This E3, they're going to announce it. This, if they did announcements at E3.
No, I agree.
I agree. I see what you're saying.
I feel like that would probably still be a game that you'd be like, I'm still getting this day one. Like, this is happening. And they're like, well, it's going to be out for the Nintendo Game Boy 3D Advance platform. So you're going to have to get that too. Like, I still think that you would end up getting it for that.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong on that?
Well, no, you're right that I would get it. But the thing is that it doesn't change, or it does change the fact about the hype factor. So going back to Pokemon, for example, Sun and Moon had so much hype going into it. I mean, it had so much hype beforehand that by the time the game came out and it was released, there was this huge boom, and I mean huge, especially on the YouTube and whatever communities, that it got massive, and then the bubble burst so much faster than so many other games. I mean, the game is still popular, obviously, and it's still going to be played, and I mean, I still enjoy it, of course, but at the same time, the hype factor behind it, dead. Like, as far pretty much dead, and that's why how I got to the same point with Zelda is that there's such thing as too much hype and too long of a time to wait for things. And I think that Zelda has passed that little expiration date. Not saying that I'm not going to enjoy it, not going to play it, but it's not a system seller. And if you look at their lineup for the, and do you mind if I go over the Switch's lineup there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So the March 3rd lineup for games that are coming out is 1-2 Switch, which I don't know if have you guys seen that already, the trailer for that?
Yeah.
So
I have, but you can explain it just in case.
1-2 Switch is if Nintendo Land was even shittier. So there's that.
Then you have the Binding of Isaac.
I mean, it's just like a reaction game. Like, it seems like everything was reaction based.
Yes, it
is.
Didn't it?
Yes.
It's not. The people are arguing, and this is not. When I say people, I'm referring to
the
Giant.
internet.
Was it Giant Bomb? Is the name of that the reporting agency for that? Like, it's one of the I guess people who write articles about that sort of thing. They're Giant. I think they're called Giant Bomb. I don't remember. It's a game informing magazine basically, except for it's digital now. They were saying how they were debating whether or not you could even call it a video game because technically there is no video for it. Really, it's all just reactionary stuff. But anyway, I'm not going to even go into the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. That's a game that's already been out. It's just a port. Just Dance 2017, once again on all systems. Human Resource Machine, same thing. I Am Setsuna is coming out on that. Breath of the Wild, of course. Little Inferno, Skylanders, Imaginators. Yeah, that's a word. Super Bomberman R and World of Goo. Um,
And Skyrim.
I'm no,
Well,
Skyrim's coming,
Skyrim's
but
on a
not launch.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not coming out till like
But
holiday.
if you
I think.
include this,
So
like,
so
Go ahead.
the Nintendo's going to get Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 games, like graphic style games now.
pretty much.
Well, I mean, and they're not. Yeah, it's not even the remastered
know.
version. It's the standard version.
Yeah, and on top of that, I'll let's include the March/spring ones, not and we'll cut it off at summer.
Yeah, that's close.
But,
That's close enough.
The
Yeah.
other ones are ARMS, which people that have played it have had relatively positive things to say about that. So that might be fun for new people. That one, by the way, for the record, I know it always looked in the trailers that you had to use the motion controls. You do not have to. It's motion control or standard. So for those people who are interested in that, Has Been Heroes is another one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which I've been told that is literally if you own the DLC for Mario Kart 8, there's no sense in buying Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But if you don't have, you don't have Mario Kart 8, it's the best version of it.
Yeah, it'll be all of the stuff together combined.
Then there's Puyo Tennis, Puyo. I'm sorry, Tetris, not tennis. Jesus, tired. Sorry. And the last one is the Snipper Clips, which is more of a party game as well. But from what I understand, that one's going to be like a $20 downloadable game. So that's a little bit cheaper. All the other ones are going to be the full price.
OK Switch is a full price thing. They did not show nearly enough for someone to even convince me that that's worth $15.
Well, okay, let's be straight here. That should have been packaged with the system. I mean, I understand you're trying to cut the cost and keep it down, but that was barely a game, and you could just take that in with the system to make it work. And I suspect within 4 months of the launch, it will be packaged with it. And by Christmas, sure as hell it will be. So you'll be able to get the system and a game for the same price as the system at launch. That's my prediction anyway. Which is why holiday of this next year, by that time, there's going to be a whole bunch of other games coming out for it, and then it'll be more in my wheelhouse of where I'm interested in getting it.
Yeah, and just for me, it was I hang around enough out on the internet where I'm already getting pissed because my wife and I are trying to go through Resident Evil 7 right now. And I'm constantly having to avoid things, people talking about it online right now. Like, it's pissing me off. And so I know that'll be even worse when it's Zelda. Like, not that Resident Evil isn't a series itself that is going to garner a lot of people talking, but Zelda's going to even get more people talking. So if there's anything in that game, like, it's going to get ruined for me in the first, like, 20 hours because, there's going to be that one guy that just bombs through somehow. Sure. Or he got it, like, 2 days early and he's posting shit online. Like thank God that Nintendo releases their stuff on weekends because it's going to come out on a Friday. The Switch and Breath of the Wild, it comes out on a Friday. So I'm planning on basically that weekend, like, that's just going to be a null weekend for me while I beat the main game and, like, can actually go online without having to avoid absolutely everything that even comes close to the word Zelda or Legend or the.
No. That's I get that. That's fair.
And I can't take that. I can't take it when something gets spoiled because if I did that, like, it would for me, it would ruin that immersion that I'm going through and playing Breath of the Wild. If I happen to read like, oh, this is what happens at this point. I'm like, damn it. I'm so used to that series being, I don't know what's happening, dude. Like, you're going through and you're like, oh, no way. I get to use this item here. Like, it's so, like, magical going through that whole thing.
Wait.
Wait. Go ahead.
I remember us playing through Skyrim though, and we played through that shit way late.
Yeah, well, I tried to play it early, but the motion controls were so shitty it turned me off.
Oh, that's right. That's why I had to play.
But I remember, like, I knew exactly what was happening nearly the whole time. I mean, at least I knew the major plot points because I'd end up running into it. I don't know how much of I ran into it then because it was also pretty early and I wasn't, going online as much as I am in Twitter and all the, I wasn't in that group yet where I had all these people that were going to talk about this stuff around me without me knowing. But I don't want to run into that with this Zelda. And plus, I just know I'm going to end up getting it now. So for me, waiting and playing it later only can cost me more. Not like in money, but it's going to cost me more in enjoyment. If I wait for this thing to come out later, or if I wait for me to buy this later, I could potentially have something spoiled for me. or I can go through and like, dude, I've been waiting for this for so long. Like I can have this on March. I'm going to spend roughly the same amount of money regardless. Maybe you could say it's like another $20-$30 more if they had a pack in game with something else. But they're not going to pack in Odyssey, the Mario game.
No,
they're not going to like their bundle. If they have a bundle, it's not going to be all that great of a deal with Mario, because I don't even think they'll bundle Mario, because they'll want to bundle something else so they can
they'll bundle 1-2 Switch.
They'll bundle 1-2 Switch, and I don't give a shit about 1-2 Switch.
Well, yeah, but
So
they'll give they'll give that away
I'm
at
going
that
to end
point.
up paying roughly the same amount. Maybe there's a $20 difference. And I'm like, $20 is so much worth it for me to have this in March and play it immediately than wait till like December or November and buy it then, where I could have been playing it for 6 months. You know what I mean? Like that.
No, yeah,
that's
yeah,
a cost to me
yeah.
that I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay the waiting time for 6 months just so I go, well, I got it and it's on my timeline. I'm like, no, my timeline is pretty much good now.
And I'm not trying to condemn the idea of getting the game on launch, because for a lot of people, this is actually going to be fine for you, and this is going to be something that you're interested in. And that's all right. I'm just kind of playing the devil's advocate, because there's a couple things during that press conference that actually, and I think I said this in my previous one about how I like like Nintendo and I want them to succeed, so I'm a little bit harder on them. And there's a lot of things in that press conference that I, completely frank with you, was not a fan of. I hate the price points of things like their Pro controllers. Have you seen the price points on those?
Yeah,
it's absurd.
I just bought one.
They're great, but they're absurd.
How much were they? Just
I think 70.
oh my god,
$70 for the Pro controller, which is essentially the exact same as like a standard controller, not like a Pro controller. Like there's nothing about it that makes it $70, like in my eyes so far yet. Not, so like there's that. And once again, I'm saying that knowing full well I'm going to get one for myself. So take this all with a grain of salt. But my point is that the controller was way too high a price. The online system, they're being super vague and shady about it, saying like, oh yeah, so we're gonna make this online system, it's gonna be great. I'm like, all right, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with paying for an online service, because you need to pay money to have a good online service. But then they follow that up with, oh yeah, and if you want to talk to or party up with your friends, you need to download a phone app. I'm like, go fuck yourself. That is the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life.
It's required or allowed?
No, required. You can't talk to people through the system. You have to use your phone and use an app.
See, as a general thing, that's fucking stupid. Granted, since we have our own private server, doesn't affect us in any.
Well, right.
Any capacity,
I'm referring to
in general. That's really stupid that you don't have the ability to do that. My guess is it's got to be something where it's like parental control, where they can make sure that your kids aren't talking to other people. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine they do it any other way besides trying to make sure that it's as restricted as possible, so people don't hear bad words on the internet. Like, that's what it sounds like,
And I get that, but at the same time, that's also how, and this is, I don't want to fully misquote on this, but the last thing that I saw with when I saw it and they were talking about it in the last interviews that I was listening to, it basically implied that that's how the party system will operate as well, is from that app. Like, as in like game party systems. I say partially. If you want to see when your friends are online, you have to check the app.
If that's true, I am not going to be happy. I'm really
almost positive.
I'm really hoping, Brian. I don't hope you're wrong for the sake of you being wrong. I hope you're wrong just because I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
I hope for some reason you misheard
yeah.
that, and it is just wrong. I'm hoping to God that that's wrong.
The other concerns and the other things that people were talking about was, of course, the memory size of the system, and then they're saying about how adding in micro SD cards will operate, for extra storage space and downloading and what have you,
Yeah.
And that the concern is that, and this is not me saying this is another person that I had listened to, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I wanted to get more information about this before our podcast, so I was doing a little bit of research, and basically one of the concerns was micro SD cards come in a lot of different flavors. Just because the general consumer might buy the cheapest one that doesn't make it the fastest or make it run the best.
No, yeah. So you probably have to do like the HDSC ones or whatever they are, like
and that's
the high writing ability.
Yes, and that's
Or
what
reading
part of
too.
the concern was on that as well. So
Well,
like
then,
it's just
to-
stuff
to-
like that. There's cracks along the way
Well,
that I'm
to a
just
point,
I'm
that's
worried
the
about.
same thing as sort of, don't go full here, but it's the same thing for getting any form of storage on anything else. Like you can decide if you want something that's just a big behemoth, and it will eventually get things written in red, but it's more about storage. Or you're wanting, I mean, it's like, a computer, you can go through and get a massive hard drive, like a, whatever. I want to get a 4 terabyte drive, but its write speed is basically slower than a sloth, but you can store a lot of crap on it. So that'd be like a pictures thing, or somebody that's not wanting to do it. Or for like gamers, like, you have to get, if you want something that's going to write fast, you have to get this. And I think for the most part, that's probably a good thing. Like you can get stuff that's faster write speeds and you can pay more, but only the people that are really hardcore gamers are going to be the ones that know and care. You know what I mean? Like the casual people, casual people don't care if it takes a half a second more or a full second longer for them to load like through a door, when they're playing Breath of the Wild. They're like, whatever, that doesn't cost me anything. Where the other people like Burke and I were going through and playing something like we'd rather have it on a solid state drive because that's going to load a lot faster and that's going to save us more time over the long term. So that one doesn't bother me as much. Like, yeah, there's different write speeds, but there's different write speeds for literally every drive for every system that's ever been announced ever that has like storage space. You know what I mean? Or at least universal storage space. So I actually like that they left that to be like, hey, anyway, you could put anything in here you want. You can do your own research. If you want something that's going to be faster, then here you go. This is how you do it. You're going to end up buying this one. It's going to be a little less memory for a little bit more money for that speed. So that's actually a positive in my head.
And I guess for me, it goes back to the fact that you wouldn't have this problem if you just put more memory.
Well, they'd put more memory, but they'd put a slower drive in there. So like, because that's what the Xbox did. They're like, oh, here's your 1 terabyte, but it's kind of a shitty 1 terabyte. Or, the write speed on their standard 500 gig is fucking terrible. Like, it's just horrible. Almost any USB hard drive is actually going to go faster as long as it uses USB 3. It's just, so to me, it's the same exact thing. It's actually good. They went, nope, we're not going to worry about the main storage. If you're wanting to do your own thing for cheaper, we're not going to charge you another extra $100 to double your space. We're just going to go through and give you the option of upgrading yourself if you want. Because plus, anyways, it's coming off those, if you're buying, because with the cartridges are going to load faster. I'm actually going to buy physical editions of these. Truthfully, for all the Nintendo Switch games, I'm going to buy cartridges because they have the potential of loading faster. As of now, if I learn differently, then I learn differently. But they're going to load faster than what you could do with an optical drive. And the only thing that could beat that would be like a solid state drive. But I can't plug that in, so I'm probably going to end up doing cartridge because it's probably going to be the fastest read speed.
I gotcha. But what about and this is the other thing that I was going to get at is, and this is what I wanted to ask you about. Are you upset that they went with 30 FPS for the new Zelda?
Is it clocked in at 30 FPS the entire time, even when docked?
Yes.
I didn't know that, and that does not make me exactly happy, but I'm just so pumped up. Like they could probably
No. I'm not trying to not trying to deflate you. I'm just
I'm just explaining. Like I'm so pumped up. Like they could probably give me 10 FPS, and I'd probably still be happy at this point.
Okay.
Like you're just like, oh my god, I've been parched in the desert for so long. You can give me muddy, salty water, and it will taste like the most delicious thing I've ever had in my life.
Okay, then. Yeah, it's stuff like that though that like for me that I'm just so, and as I said, I don't want to use the word disappointed in, but at the same time, I just
see the thing that disappoints me out of everything is not the online thing where you have to pay, because obviously
that's fine.
They haven't had you pay yet, and their online service hasn't been great. We've seen with PS4 and with the PlayStation Network and with Xbox Live, you've been able to pay for those, and they've actually run really well. Like I've been very happy with Xbox Live over the course of me having it for the past 10 years. So like if that does the same thing for Nintendo and that helps them get the infrastructure where they don't have to, pony up their own money, because that's kind of what you have to do. All right, that's what it is. I don't even think I'm going to end up getting the online service, truthfully. It depends about how much it is. Do we know how much it is?
I don't believe they just said that. They only mentioned that for the first few months it'll be free, and then it'll start costing you in mid to late summer.
Yeah, I heard it was like October is when they had it set. But yeah, the only thing that bothers me is their service that's akin to what PlayStation and Xbox have, where every single month Xbox Live gives you 3 different games. If you have an Xbox One, you're going to get one Xbox Live game or one Xbox One game the first 15 days of the month. The next 15 days of the month, you get another one. And throughout that time, you also get an Xbox 360 game, which 99% of them that they give out now are backwards compatible. So you get 3 games a month. They're older games, but you get 3 games a month for free every single time. And the same thing roughly with PlayStation. I know they give you, it's been so long since I've done it, since I don't have a PlayStation anymore. But they give you like 2 or 3 games a month as well, something along those lines. Nintendo's system, where their online system, where you basically get to rent
that's what I was going to
Super Nintendo game, and then it's like, well, you had it for a month. Glad you had fun. Now you don't get to have it anymore. Is the stupidest thing in the world.
That's horrible.
It's so bad. Like
Horrible.
I don't think they could. Even if they did it this way, granted, I don't know. Is it just one particular game that they give you per month, or do you get to choose what game it is?
I thought that they gave you one particular game.
Okay.
That's the way I saw it. But I mean, I could be wrong on
Definitely,
that
if
one.
it's that is the stupidest thing in the world. They are picking the game that's getting no sales. Like, you can pick a game that gets no sales, that it's a decent game, and might get you to buy more games. You know, they could give you, not that this would be the exact one, but let's just use this for the sake of an example, right? They give you Super Mario Brothers, the first one. And then people are like, fuck, that was really fun. I've never played those before. This is alternate universe, but just go with me. And they go, you know what? I'm going to get number 2 and 3. I want to buy those. I want to play these games. These are a lot of fun. Or, you know, but something along those lines that it gets them going. I don't want to wait to continue this. I want to continue this series. So maybe they give them Castlevania. You know, like, a lot of people have Castlevania already. So, hey, we'll give you Castlevania for free. Somebody plays it and goes, I really want to play Castlevania 2. What, there's like 5 of them after this? Hell yeah, let's keep going. You know, just they could have done something along those lines.
But Craig, that doesn't make any sense, because Nintendo wants you on every single one of their systems to buy their virtual console games.
I know, but you know, the sad thing is they probably make enough money off people rebuying these things every single time that the vitriol they get back on this doesn't matter. They go,
No.
yeah, we're gonna laugh as we're depositing these billions of dollars into our bank account. Like,
Yeah.
your tears do
funded the
nothing.
Switch with your tears.
Yeah, like, your tears do nothing besides they grease the machine so we can just keep pumping this stuff out. But that's pretty much the only thing that really bothered me. It's every system nowadays. The launch titles are crap. You know, and
No, I agree.
so the launch title thing doesn't bother me. It's actually even better because Zelda is a launch title. Like, holy crap, there's actually a title I care about in the launch. Xbox One, what did we play, Burke? We played like Dead Rising 3, I think, for the first little bit. And then Titanfall came out like 2-3 months after that. Like, the first 6 months of the Xbox One was horrible. That's one of those things where I go, yeah, we probably could have just waited and gotten a better version of this. At least with Nintendo, it's been, there's 2 different, there's one game that's coming out that you go, this is going to be worth it. Or at least it's got a high probability of being worth it, you know, comparatively to like every other system's like, yeah, we're going to launch and you're going to get this.
Yeah, no. I definitely hear you on that, because yes, that makes perfect sense. And my only piece to that is that I understand that you had to have Zelda as your launch title because you've been promising it for so long and this and that, right? But at the same time, this new Mario game that's going to come out in the winter, that's going to have to be their Christmas time seller, right? So that's what it's going to come down to is, can Zelda take it off the shelves at the beginning to get the feet underneath it, so that way that this winter is the winter of the Switch, and that's the hot new item that everyone has to have because they started it in spring, which is a weird ass move to me. And they're like, okay, here we go. So
that's what you're hoping.
It's a survival question.
I know Michelle, and I'll speak for her. And if I'm wrong, she'll come on here later and completely denounce me. But I know she doesn't like doing launch consoles at all. Like, she hates it. I want to say that every single launch console, for the most part, like, she just doesn't enjoy doing it because normally you're getting a product that isn't completely done. You know, the console, like the original 360s and the Red Ring of Death. The Xbox One had Ethernet and HDMI port problems and some disk drive problems. I actually had to send mine in, my disk drive, or my entire Xbox, for like a month because I had a disk drive problem. It wouldn't read any discs anymore. I still honestly don't know if it works very well anyway, but I don't use discs, so it doesn't matter. You know, I know PlayStation 4 had something. They had like some blue light of death or something like that. They all have these problems. You end up getting that. So many people get burnt by them, and I know she hates it because it's just like, it's so dumb. Like, you can wait. I don't have patience, and I like having things when they first come out. It's kind of going back to what we were talking about earlier with like going to the movies.
Yeah.
There's certain movies like I just love seeing them the night of. Like, I love going to midnight releases on these movies. One, yes, I get to avoid spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
You both know how much I absolutely hate spoilers, but I love being in that group where I guess it is. It's probably some narcissistic, like I'm in the in group. I'm part of the group that has this right now and is able to experience this. Like,
We can never let Craig go to California.
Like, I think it's probably partially that, and it's partially just I don't like waiting. I really hate waiting on certain things. When there's something I really want, I'm like, I don't want to wait for it. If it's available, why am I waiting for it? The time in between, like, I know, Brian, you might get a sense of like, you know what, I waited and it dropped down in price, and I'm not trying to be like sarcastic, but it dropped down in price $10, and I was all right dropping down $10 in price, you know, or 2 years after a game's released, it's $3. I'm glad I picked this up now, and I get to go play it. Like, but it always bothers me. I'm like, what could I have been doing with those 3 years while I was waiting for this to come out? I could have bought it then, experienced all of it, and moved on with other things as well, instead of like coming back later and doing it. It's just, I don't know. It's just my personality on it.
I mean, like, yeah, and I'm the opposite, and where my Steam wish list, they constantly notify me and be like, hey, this is on sale, and I'm like, but it'll go lower. And I'm like, I can wait. And it's like, so for example, I've been waiting for Owlboy. And recently it had dropped down in price, going from $25 to like $16. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. When it's 10, I'll buy it. and so I didn't buy it. You know, it's like, even as badly as I want to play the game, and as you know, great reviews as I've heard, I just, I get what you're saying, wanting to definitely have that first experience and be part of that like initial group. And normally when it comes to Nintendo products, I am the first one, you know, trying to be like, yeah, let's do this. But I don't know. I was hoping that by the time in between our first Switch podcast and this one, that they would have done a better job of selling me. But if anything, they've reaffirmed my thought of I'm good until winter.
And really, that's probably,
don't take my word for it.
It's probably proportionally that you're starting to grow up and you realize you don't need to do this. I'm still a child. And I'm like, I kind of want to do this, but I know it's with certain things. It literally, if Zelda had not been a launch title, I would not have bought it. It literally is purely based on that. It'd be the same thing with like a Halo game. If there's a Halo game coming out there, you can bet your ass at midnight when that clock turns to 12:01, I'm playing a Halo game. It's going to be immediately being played, you know.
Same.
And there's really not too many series that I'm going to do that with. Really, actually, I think Zelda and Halo are pretty much the only ones that I'm going to do that with. Halo? Like, where it's like I need to be there right then to start playing this.
Yeah, I mean, how about you, Burke? What do you feel about this? Are you on team sign me up for one, or are you going to wait?
I doubt I'll get it. I've been disappointed with the Wii and then the Wii U as well. I still have my original Wii. It's just not hooked up to anything. I don't even think I have games for it anymore. So I'm not going to buy it at this point. If something changes my mind, okay, I'll buy it. But so when I was watching the conference, it was a very hard sell for me. They had to come out swinging 1,000, and yeah, they didn't even get it to first base. Maybe not even to the pitcher's mound in my book. Like I was bored.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That no games, you know, got me all excited. Of course, I'm not a Zelda fan. Like, I love playing Mario games with my wife, but yeah, just no. I'm
just
good.
But
no.
wait, didn't you see Mario in New Donk City?
No, dude, in Grand Theft Auto? That's
Yeah.
exactly because I was talking to Craig during. I was like, GTA Mario? What?
But it's New Donk City. But like, how? But do you get why it's called that?
Because it's this is how stupid this is. Because
Where King Kong went there, it's Donkey Kong, so it's New Donk City it should be New Kong City. But they're like, no, we're gonna go with the Donk part of it because that's the part of the name that everybody fucking cares about. New Donk City. I'm like, are you shitting me? You just could have said New Kong City and called it
I wonder
good.
if that
But
potentially,
whatever.
if Kong has a different connotation in a different language or something like that, and it would end up.
No, I bet you they didn't want to get sued.
Yeah, it just
I am not.
the Mario game. If they had launched with the Mario game, I would not have pre-ordered. I would not have gotten the Switch immediately. It would have been literally just wait for the Zelda game, because I feel like the Mario game, you're really not going to be able to spoil the game for me. It's like, what? The princess got
no,
kidnapped and I got to
but
go survive.
he
Oh,
jumps.
what's going on here?
but I mean, like, did you see the gameplay for that? I don't know what the shit was
didn't-
going
it
on
didn't
half the
look good to
time.
me.
It looked
looked awful.
bad.
Like
Like
the-
it looked, well, in the sense that he was literally just like, I'm in a weird location, and I'm like, where's your enemies? I don't have any. I walk around
It
here.
felt
It's
so
like,
Yeah,
weird.
I walk around, and then the camera would go from really far back to right behind him. You couldn't see
Yes!
anything. It made me cringe.
and then they did that trope thing where they're like, but guess what? His hat now has a personality. And I was like,
Well,
oh,
every
no.
single one of these
Oh
games.
god, odd job.
Every single one of these games, all the Mario games have, besides like the new Super Mario, like the side-scrolling ones, they all had like some kind of little gimmick to it. Like obviously,
Oh,
like
What was Super Mario? What about the Wii U one, dude? The Wii U one was just solid, fun gameplay. That one was
that was the
amazing.
side-scroller.
No, the one you no, not for the Wii U.
The
The
Gal-
3D Mario,
Galaxy?
the 3D one.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a 3D. That was like the gimmick, is they went fully 3D with it again. When the last 2 or 3 titles have been non-3D like that. I know that doesn't sound like a gimmick, but that was the thing. They're like, hey, we're going in 3D. You get to pick these different characters that have these different abilities and different jumps and
it was
different things.
4-player.
And it was co-op 4-player. Let's have fun. Like that was kind of their thing. Now in this, like, I mean, think about like what was Sunshine? Oh, you've got the pack.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And Super Mario Galaxy, like, holy crap, it's everything's goofy and it's in a big planet stuff.
Everything's goofy.
Every Mario has those. Just they've got something is supposed to be the seller, and the 3D world was, hey, it's 3D world again. You're finally back in 3D, and it's co-op, and there's 4 different characters that you can play as, and they're all different. Obviously 5 now, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know how else to describe it other than that it didn't wow me whatsoever, and like the fact that it's like his hat has eyeballs. I'm like when I was seeing that, in my head, I could see nothing but Mario is missing. That's all I could see.
I just thought Odd Job made it into a video game.
But yeah, I mean, you know what I'm talking about though. What Mario's missing? Did you guys either replay that game?
No,
It's literally Mario walking around, or I'm sorry, it's Luigi, but whatever. He's in the real world, and he just basically walks around and talking to people. And and this one was Mario walking around in the real world and didn't have a single enemy to fight. And I'm like, oh no, what if he just solves history problems again, or worse off? Like why is Mario a freak in this world? Did you notice that he's a human? He's supposed to be the size of these people, and yet he's somehow miraculously the size of a small child when he's like 24. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's gonna mess with all the different theories about what Mario and his height is.
Oh yeah, no, they're out the window at this point because
Mhm.
apparently New Donk City is in like either our world or not. I don't know. It's all messed up. But I saw that and I'm like, look, am I gonna
Did you just call it New Dong City?
donk?
I heard dong.
I think you
I
said
think I heard
dong.
dong.
Well, you know what?
New Dong City.
That is what I saw. It is the New Donk City. That place. I'm grumpy old man. I want my 2D Mario.
I really feel like that's probably a lot of it. Is we're sitting there, us looking at it where we've grown up with these games, and I mean 3D Mario, like that wasn't that big of a stretch where it's like, oh, there's something goofy here. You know what I mean? It was very like, this is kind of like Mario 64, but with 4 people. You know what I mean? So we're like, we gravitated towards it, but there's a lot of people that the Sunshine is their favorite one of all time.
Oh,
like,
you mean people
I
who
don't-
are wrong? Okay.
Yeah, but that's what this is going to be for them. This is going to be like, oh, remember when the hat had a personality? Like, why can't we have gameplay like that again, where I can use the hat as I don't know, helicopter or whatever it is? That's just what it's going to be. I think we're just getting too old to really like the things that are a little bit different in terms of what they do. You know,
I know. I just like that Wii U 3D World 1 thing because that one was like having 4 players with the different like abilities was bringing back Mario 2 as well as bringing in like Mario 64, like but more focused into a level design like Super Mario 3. And like that right there, they could have literally just made new levels for that exact same sort of game style play and just made a multiplayer online. And I would have said, here's my money. You know, we're good.
I would have been throwing money at that thing had they done that.
Look at those. Shouldn't I work for Nintendo?
Well, but the thing is that wouldn't sell the system for them either, or sell, that wouldn't be their holiday seller. Them doing something, I know you would, but doing this goofiness, that's gonna sell it for all the kids, I guarantee, and that's what's gonna get them everything.
No, and as I said, I'm sure that you're right. There is some kid out there that's gonna look back on this, go, "Wow, I love Hattie." Hattie,
is that his name?
He does have a goofy ass name. Hold on, I'll find out what the name of it is. Okay, so when I searched for this, it came up with Propeller Mushroom. When I said, what is the name of the hat in the new Mario game?
Oh, Propeller Mushroom, you need to save me.
Wait, I'll try.
You know how in the Zelda games you get to name the horse in some of them?
Yeah.
I'm going to name the horse Propeller Mushroom. Hey, Propeller Mushroom, get over here. I need to ride you.
Oh, God. All right, hold on. I'm reading an article, checking. It's right here. I'll tell you the biggest thing about this is that they call it Super Mario Odyssey. You know, why did they call it that?
I don't know. It makes me think of Abe's Odyssey or the Gosh, what are those games?
I don't know.
I thought of Homer's Odyssey.
The Odd World.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Homer's.
Whenever I hear the word Odyssey, I always go to Oddworld. Because there's Oddworld Abe's Odyssey was a game I played on. It was actually one of the first PC games that I bought and played through.
No kidding.
Way back in the day. Yeah.
I remember that game.
Yeah, it was like a PlayStation 1 game. Like that's the time frame it was in.
Well, I can't find the damn name of this thing, but his name is like Hattie.
Hattie.
It seriously is a name like that.
And again, that just makes me think of hockey because when you get a Hattie, 3 goals in a game, they call it a Hattie. It's a hat trick, but they call it Hattie in the like whatever you want to call it. I can't, dude. Englishing right now is getting extremely tough.
Are you referring to the hockey vernacular?
Yes, hockey vernacular. Thank you so much. So that's not the words I was going for, but that helped me.
See, that's that sweet communications major paying off. That's right, kids. Stay in school.
Woo!
Oh man.
Oh man.
I wonder if New Dong City has a hockey team.
With their mascot Hattie. Everybody knows that. Oh my god.
Hattie of New Dong City.
Oh my god.
Holy shit. I wonder if they get donged on there.
Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go. Do the Mario, take one step. And then again, let's do the Mario all together now. You got it. It's the Mario. Do the Mario, swing your arms from side to side.
Hello, everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke, and I'm Burke.
Shit. All right, we'll just erase that.
I'm sorry.
I was actually gonna run with that, but okay.
Sorry, I already stopped everything.
Do the Mario, swing your arms from
I wonder if they get donged on there.
Okay. Oh shit, that was good. What if they get donged on?
I hate you so much.
Burke is so pleased with himself. He's just
I didn't in my THC out of brain. I was like, that sounds kind of funny. I don't know if it will be. I wasn't expecting it to be
let's
that
roll
good.
the dice. Shit, I nailed it. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Take one step, and then again, let's do the Mario all together now. Come on now, just like that.